This is Your Path, Live, with Bishop Mark, live from Dallas Universal Life Church in Dallas, Texas.
Well, good evening and welcome to Your Path Live with Bishop Mark. I'm your host, Bishop Mark Zorn, coming to you live from Dallas, Texas, as we do every Wednesday evening, at least for another week or so, because we're going on break. Some break starting next week, so last couple of episodes here, folks. Anyway, welcome to the show. I'm glad you're here. This show is called Your Path Live, for a reason. The show's about you. What does that mean? Well, it means I want you to call in. You see a little scrolling thing on your screen there. It's either on the top or the bottom of your screen that says https://tinyurl.com/Bishop Mark. Now, that's how you get into our green room. You can do that with audio or with video or without video. So if you're on the radio, it's fine. If you're listening on the radio, that's on the Zoom, that's fine. You can also come in live on the just the audio side. tinyurl.com/Bishop Mark. That's how you get to talk to us. And what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about you. We want to talk about your life, your day, your dogs who are going crazy, your relationships, your family, your Christianity, your faith. Let us pray with you. Let me talk to you. That's what I'm here for. Now, we obviously have a topic we're going to talk about, so I'm not just twiddling my thumbs and talking about nothing, waiting for you to call in. But please don't hesitate to interrupt. Like I said, this show's about you. This is what it's all about. It's about you. So call in, interrupt. That's what we want to do. And you can even call in and talk about the topic we're talking about today, because it's a good one, folks. We do have a good one today. So we're going to go right into it straight up, because it's a lot to cover today. And we only have 2 more episodes. This is this episode, and then next week we have a 2-hour special. So here we go. Again, I say good afternoon and welcome to Your Path Live with Bishop Mark. And I am glad that you're spending part of your Wednesday afternoon with me. Now, as always, whenever you're watching from, wherever you're watching from, whether you're listening from or watching from, joining us on DULC TV, through the church app, social media, or one of our many other platforms, thank you for being here. And tonight, we do our journey toward next week's season 3 finale. And I think this may be one of the most important conversations we've had all season. And so does Dexter. Dexter thinks it's very important too. If you don't know if you can hear him whining in the background, he's just going crazy. Because before God can take you somewhere new, you have to decide what you're no longer carrying. Now, most people spend their lives focused on what they want to gain. More money, more happiness, more success, more peace, more opportunities, more blessings. But few people will stop and ask, what do I need to let go of? The truth is that some of us aren't struggling because God hasn't blessed us. We're struggling because we're still dragging around things that were never meant to go with us into the next season. Imagine trying to climb a mountain carrying a 100-pound backpack full of rocks. The mountain isn't the problem. The backpack is. Some of us are exhausted not because life is difficult, but because we're carrying things God told us years ago to put down. And that's what we're talking about tonight. So let's get into it. One of the strangest things about emotional and spiritual baggage is that nobody else can see it. And if I walk into a room carrying a 50-pound box, everybody notices. But if I walk into a room carrying 20 years of resentment, nobody notices. If I'm carrying anxiety, fear, regret, shame, bitterness, disappointment, nobody sees it. Yet those invisible burdens often weigh far more than any physical burden ever could. People wonder why they're exhausted all the time, why they're angry all the time, why they're suspicious of everybody, why they can't trust, why they can't love, why they can't move forward. Well, sometimes the answer isn't what's happening today. Sometimes it's what's happened years ago that we're still carrying. There are people listening right now who are still having arguments with people who haven't been part of their lives for a decade. The person may be gone. The hurt remains. The relationship ended. The wounds remain. The situation changed. The pain remains. And until we deal with it, it keeps influencing every decision we make. In Philippians chapter 3, verse 13 through 14, Paul says, forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead, I press on towards the goal. Now, notice Paul doesn't say the past never happened. He doesn't say the pain wasn't real. He doesn't say pretend everything was fine. He says, don't live there. Don't build a house in your past. Visit it if you must. Learn from it. Grow from it. But don't live there, because you can't drive forward while staring in the rearview mirror. At least you shouldn't. Eventually, you're going to crash. Let's get practical. What are some things people carry? Old labels? Somebody told you that you weren't smart enough, not attractive enough, not talented enough, not spiritual enough, not worthy enough. And even though decades have passed, you're still living under a label somebody else created. Why? Who made them God? Why do they get to define your life? They don't, unless you let them. Past failures. Many people are still punishing themselves for mistakes they made years ago. If that's you, answer this question. Have you learned from it? Have you changed? Have you grown? Then why are you serving a life sentence for a crime God already pardoned? God specializes in redemption, but redemption only works if you accept it. Unforgiveness. This is a hard one because somebody may genuinely have hurt you. What they did may have been wrong. It may have been cruel. It may have changed your life forever. Forgiveness does not mean what happened was okay. Forgiveness means you're no longer allowing that person to rent space in your soul for free. Forgiveness is not setting them free. It's setting yourself free. As we approach our 11th, we're in our 11th year as a church. We're at our 11th year as a church. We had our 10-year anniversary just a few weeks ago. And I've been thinking about this a lot because churches can carry baggage too. Organizations can carry baggage. Leaders can carry baggage. For 10 years, we faced obstacles, financial challenges for sure, criticism, misunderstandings, moments when people said we'd never make it, moments when people walked away, moments when things seemed impossible. And yet here we are. Not because we're perfect, by no means. Not because everything went according to plan, but because God wasn't finished. Okay. Folks, I'm going to take a quick break here because I've got to take care of something. Some noise going on in the background with a little puppy dog, and we're going to take care of that real quick because it's driving me crazy. We'll be right back. And so just a quick commercial. Trust me, it'll be quick. I'll be right back, folks. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Here we go. Be right back, folks.
The Zoo Radio Network exists for one reason: to reach people where they are with music, conversation, and truth that still matters. In a world full of noise, the Zoo is a place for connection, reflection, encouragement, and real talk about faith, life, and purpose. Hi, I'm Sean, and I want to tell you a little more about who the Zoo Radio Network is. We are not backed by corporations. We are not driven by profit. We are powered by people. Your support keeps the Zoo broadcasting not only great Christian music, but also modern pop, classical, country, and live programming that speaks to real life. It allows us to produce shows like Your Path Live with Bishop Mark, stream worship services, amplify unheard voices, and remain accessible to anyone who needs hope. No paywall, no barriers. So, why does your support matter? Running a radio network takes more than passion. It takes broadcasting and streaming infrastructure, music licensing and royalties, studio equipment and technical support, website hosting and digital platforms, outreach, promotion, and community programming. Every dollar given goes directly into keeping the Zoo strong, stable, and growing. This is more than radio. The Zoo is ministry without walls. It reaches the lonely at night. It reaches the seeker who won't walk into a church. It reaches the believer who needs to be reminded they're not alone. When you give, you are not just funding a station. You are investing in lives being touched every single day. How can you help? We have a program designed so that all can give without breaking the bank. One-time gift, make an immediate impact. Monthly partner, become part of the backbone of the Zoo. Sponsor a program or hour of airtime. Dedicate it in honor or memory of someone meaningful. No gift is too small. Every gift moves the mission forward. Stand with us. Keep the signal alive. If the Zoo has encouraged you, challenged you, comforted you, or helped you feel connected, now is your chance to give back. Support the Zoo Radio Network today and help us continue broadcasting hope, truth, and real faith into a world that desperately needs it. Give, share, be part of the voice. Visit www.yourdallas.church and go to the Donate tab to make your tax-deductible donation today. Thank you from all of us at the Zoo Radio Network.
And welcome back to Your Path Live with Mark. Sorry about the early break, folks. Hopefully got that taken care of now. All right. Let's go back to where we were. Never a dull moment here on live television. All right. I'm going to back up a little bit. For 10 years, we at Dallas Universal Life Church have faced obstacles, financial challenges, criticism, misunderstandings, moments when people said we'd never make it. We had a lot of those. Moments when people walked away, moments when things seemed impossible. And yet, here we are. Not because we're perfect. By no means are we perfect. Not because everything went according to plan, but Because God wasn't finished. If we had stayed focused on every disappointment, we'd never have reached 10 years. And if we're going to reach 20 years, 30 years, and beyond, we have to keep moving forward. The same is true for your life. Let's talk about one burden that almost everybody carries. Fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of embarrassment, fear of change, fear of success. Yes, even success. Because success brings responsibility, and responsibility can be scary. Fear has killed more dreams than failure ever has. Most people don't fail because they tried and lost. Most people fail because they never tried at all. Fear convinced them not to. Now, think about how many opportunities you've missed because fear was making decisions for you. How many relationships, how many jobs, how many dreams, how many adventures, how many ministries, how many blessings. Fear whispers, what if it doesn't work? Fear asks, what if it does? Faith asks, what if it does? So fear whispers, what if it doesn't work? And faith asks, what if it does? Now, one of the things we're seeing right now is growth, not necessarily in the traditional way, but growth in reach. The church, DULC TV, the Zoo Radio Network, the app, the online services, the podcast, the Roku channel, the Fire TV channel, the social media platforms. We're reaching people we never would have reached 10 years ago. People in different states, different countries, different backgrounds. People who had never walked through a traditional church door. That's exciting to me. But it also requires faith. You can't grow if you're constantly afraid of what's next. Okay. Again, all my notes aren't here, but that's okay. We're going to get through this. I'll talk and we'll go in some tangent somewhere we don't want to go probably. Let me ask you something. If God showed up tonight and offered you the answer to the prayer you've been praying for years, would you be ready? Or are you still carrying too much baggage from yesterday? Maybe tonight is the night you finally put something down. Maybe tonight is the night you stop carrying guilt. Maybe tonight is the night you stop carrying shame. Maybe tonight is the night you stop carrying somebody else's opinion of you. Maybe tonight is the night you stop carrying a version of yourself that no longer exists. Because God cannot move you into tomorrow while you're chained to yesterday. Okay. I just want to check on my notes here, folks. While we'll do this, I'll try and talk about the announcements that are coming up for this week. Because I'm missing some things here for some reason. It doesn't seem all of it's here. I don't know why. Anyway, you're actually talking Tyler too fast. 5:44 here in Dallas. It's 14 minutes we've been on the air, and I could not have gone through all that. 93 degrees here on June the 24th. A beautiful summer day here in Dallas. Okay. Coming up Friday, we have the official starts the weekend live with Bishop Mark on the Zoo Radio, thezue.net. That's at 5 p.m. Central Time. And that will be just bringing in the weekend. Some great music, some great talk, about 90 minutes of just relaxing and letting the week go and getting ready for your weekend. Then, of course, on Sunday, we have Exploring Your Faith Live with Bishop Mark. It starts at 3 o'clock p.m. That'll be available on the Zoo, thezue.net, also on the DULC TV network, as well as dulc.online.church. That is our Sunday church service, starting at 3 o'clock, followed by the Bishop's Roundtable. That's something, if you can be there for that. That's probably one of the most important shows, or if you want to call it a show, services we have of the week. Then coming up next Wednesday, big show next Wednesday, big show. Next Wednesday is the season finale of Your Path Live with Bishop Mark. Season 3 coming to a close for the summer. It'll be a 2-hour special, and there's a lot to cover there. Unfortunately, not tonight for some reason. I don't know how in the world I went through all that. Okay, that's all right. We're talking about letting go of things. I mean, hopefully we don't have that many things to let go of. Let's pray. Let's pray that's not this case. All right. Wow. All right. So what I'm going to do is I've got another segment here I want to talk about, and then we'll just wing it from there. Okay. Maybe in worse situations. Okay. I do want to talk about real quickly. I want to talk about next week. What's going to happen next week, next Wednesday. So next week is the season 3 finale, like I mentioned, of Your Path Live with Bishop Mark. 3 seasons already. I can't believe that. So the actual title of next week's finale is called The Next Chapter. The Next Chapter. And we're going to look back at where we've been, We're going to look forward to where we're going. And we're going to talk about what comes next for the ministry, the church, the network, and for each of us individually. And we'll close out season 3 the way we live it, with honesty, faith, hope, and a commitment to keep moving forward. Because your story isn't over. God is still writing it. And the best chapters may still be ahead. I hope so. Let's go with this. Now, before we go anywhere else, I want to talk about something else with you tonight. Sometimes God removes things before we are ready. Sometimes we don't let go. Sometimes God doesn't. Sometimes God does the letting go for us. A door closes, a relationship ends, a job disappears, a plan falls apart, a dream changes, and we're devastated, and we think we've lost something important. But years later, we look back and realize God wasn't punishing us. He was preparing us. Now, how many things have you cried over that later turned out to be blessings? They were just, the world was coming to an end. And it turned out that it's exactly what you needed to happen. Not the world coming to an end, but something else coming to an end and helping you to move on. They say one door closes, another opens. Usually, not always, but usually. Now, how many disappointments eventually became opportunities? How many closed doors protected you walking into the wrong room? At the time, we don't understand. We can't see it. We're not above everything, watching it like a Coliseum, like maybe God is. And we fight it. At the time, we beg God to change it. But later we realized that God could see what we could not. And that's why faith matters. Faith is trusting God even when you don't understand the route he's taking. And if you're going to go through one of those seasons right now, hear me clearly. The fact that something ended does not mean that God abandoned you. The fact that something changed does not mean God forgot you. The fact that a chapter closed does not mean the story is over. Sometimes endings are simply the doorway to beginnings we cannot see yet. And maybe that's exactly where you are tonight. Not at the end, not defeated, not abandoned, simply standing at the threshold of the next chapter. And that's exactly where we're going to begin next week. Okay. I didn't even put a prayer on here. What am I thinking? I just half did it. Yeah, I've got guests in the sanctuary here today. We're watching. They're going, Mark, what are you doing? We're getting a little more together than this. Okay, so what we're gonna do? I got an idea. We did something last Sunday that I thought was really fun. If I had more time, I'd show the video. We're gonna do that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and I'm gonna pull this up. I'm gonna read part of the sermon from Sunday, and I'm gonna talk to you. I'm just gonna read some excerpts of it. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but it was last Sunday was Father's Day, and any of you that have been following along know a little bit about the story of what goes on here and everything from my personal life. And my father, we've been doing this church for 10 years. I mean, we've had this church. I started this church 10 years ago, last month. So May 31st, 2016 was when we opened the doors, when we started the church. My father has yet to come to a service. In fact, none of my family has gone to a service except for Aunt Patsy. She was the only one that came to a service. And she supported us unconditionally. She was wonderful. My father, I thought and tried. He's so sure that our spirituality and our faith and our Christianity is so different. When it's not, it really is very, very similar. And I think I'm trying to get through his head. He's hard-headed like I am. So I understand that. So last Sunday, of course, it was Father's Day. And I don't know about you, but money's kind of tight right now. The economy is about strengthening its stranglehold on me. And I didn't even have enough money to buy Dad a Father's Day gift this year, which is not good. So basically what I did is I dedicated, which I would have done anyway, I dedicated the service Sunday to my father. And then I did most of the sermon about him. And I called him up and I said, Dad, I know you don't normally watch my service, but I know it's Father's Day, but could you please watch it today? And I sent him the link to it. And he said, okay. I wasn't sure if he was or not, but I went ahead and did the sermon as if he were listening. So let me see if I can pull it up here. I guess I'll have it here. Let's see. I just saw it here. Hold on a second. There he is right there. Okay. So I'm going to read part of this. I probably might read all of it. Because I went through that last one. Wow. Okay. Let's kind of get to the first part here. Okay, here we go. So this is what we got into the section about. Again, this is from Father's Day. This is last Sunday. So you're going to get a special rewind. Let me tell you about that first. Before we go into this, I want to tell you about the new lineup we have on the zoo. All the stuff we've got going on the zoo. In fact, I'm going to pull it up over here so I can see it because it's so much. I want to make sure I get it all to you. So let me pull it up over here. TheZoo.net. Here it is. I just want to look at the schedule here. Here we go. Okay, so new scheduling on the zoo. Tonight, of course, you're watching Your Path Live with Bishop Mark. That's what we have on Wednesday nights. They'll be going into through next Wednesday, and then something else will probably take its place. I'm not sure what yet. Stay tuned for that one, okay? Then coming up tomorrow, Thursday, we have starting at 6 o'clock, from 6 to 7, Life Lessons with Bishop Mark, and from 7 to midnight. From 7 to midnight, we have Thursday Rewind. The Thursday Rewind, what that is it's our Sunday service, okay? Plus also the Wednesday Your Path Live with Mark for now. Obviously, that can only last for another week or so because we're on break, but we might either do reruns there or we might do another show there. I'm not sure which yet. Haven't decided. But Thursday Rewind is on, it's placed twice. That way you can kind of, if you missed the show, if you missed our service, you can come in on Thursday afternoon. It's also a great way because it's a different time than we normally have those services. And so people that maybe not have normally maybe they worked that time or whatever, they can actually watch it there or listen to it on the radio there. Okay, that's on Thursday from 7 to midnight. Thursday Rewind. Friday, regular programming all day until we get to 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock we have I already mentioned this. The official starts weekend live with Bishop Mark. That's from 5 to 6:30. And then coming up later on that night is our newest show, which I really love doing. It's a lot of fun. From 11 p.m. till 3 a.m. we have the Zoo Late Night, which is dance music, club music, mixes, remixes. A lot of fun. And less interruptions, more music, just something to kind of just for our late night people. Okay. That goes till 3 a.m. And then back to regular programming. Saturday, we have regular programming all day long. Sunday, of course, we have Exploring the Faith Live with Bishop Mark at 3 o'clock. That's from 3 to 5 with the Bishop Round Table involved as well. Monday, we have regular programming until 7 o'clock. Sorry, 7 o'clock, 7 to 11, 7 to 11. And then we have the Mark Zorn Music Monday. Mark Zorn Music Mondays. All Mark Zorn music for that entire time. Remixes, unreleased songs, things like that. If you haven't heard, check it out. Then back to regular programming. And then, of course, what was that? It's Monday. Okay. And then Tuesday, we have at 7 o'clock, 7 to 8 o'clock, we have the Gaither Hour. So an hour of Bill Gaither and friends. And then back to regular programming until 11 o'clock. And from 11 to 3 a.m. again, we have the Zoo Late Night. So Tuesday nights and Friday nights is the Zoo Late Night. It's a lot of fun. If you haven't checked that out yet, check it out. I really like the way it's coming together. We've got a lot of new drops on there, a lot of new advertisements on there, kind of changing the whole attitude of the radio station. I hope you like it. If you do, let me know. Mark at yourdallas.church. If you don't like it, let me know. Mark at yourdallas.church. I want to hear from you folks. Okay, that's that. Back to what I was talking about with Dad. All right. I'm just going to read what I've got here. Today, I want to talk to you about my own father. My father is very much alive. His name is Daniel Guy Manning. He was born into the family line of Daniel Guy Zorn. He is 74 years old. And at 74, he has not decided that useful years are behind him. He's not decided that retirement means withdrawing from the world. He's not decided that he has learned enough, worked enough, achieved enough, or helped enough people. At 74 years old, my father still attends school part-time. He continues his education because he still believes that there's more to learn. He works in private practice in psychology and counseling. And he also works with the veterans through the Department of Veterans Affairs as a licensed professional counselor. He works 6 days a week. 6 days a week. And he's 74 years old. At an age when many people would understandably decide to slow down, my father continues to study, work, counsel, listen, guide, and help people heal. And that is his chosen retirement. Helping people, serving people, continuing to grow, continuing to learn, continuing to use his education and experience to help people who are struggling. And that does not come from a life in which everything was handed to him. My father did not begin life surrounded by wealth, stability, privilege, and opportunity. His parents came together for one night, one encounter, one night that resulted in his life. He was not born into a carefully planned, perfectly organized family story. His beginning was complicated. His childhood was marked by poverty. He grew up knowing what it meant to not have everything he needed. He grew up without the kinds of advantages that often make success easier. There was no guarantee that the child born from that one night would become an educated professional. There was no guarantee that the boy raised in poverty would someday counsel people through their deepest struggles. There was no guarantee that he would work with veterans, maintain a private practice, pursue advanced education, and remain professionally active at 74. His beginnings did not predict his ending. His circumstances did not determine the boundaries of his life. His poverty did not have the final word. His family situation did not have the final word. His childhood did not have the final word. My father built something out of what he was given, and he kept building. He became an amazingly successful man, not simply because of professional titles, degrees, or income, but because he turned a difficult beginning into a life devoted to growth and service. He helps people. He listens to people. He works with veterans who carry experiences and wounds that many of us cannot fully understand. He uses what he has learned to help others make sense of their lives. And he himself is still learning. Now, that matters to me. That inspires me. Because one of the greatest lessons a father can teach is that you never have to stop becoming. You never have to stop learning. You never have to stop growing. You never have to stop contributing. You never have to decide that because you have reached a certain age, your purpose has expired. My father's life says that where you begin does not have to dictate where you finish. His life says poverty does not have to kill ambition. A complicated birth does not make a person less valuable. An unconventional beginning does not mean an insignificant life. The circumstances that created you do not determine what the circumstances that created you do not determine what you are capable of creating. Now, here's where we got a little deeper, folks. My relationship with my father is not everything I wish it could be. I think a lot of us feel that way. He is not as much a part of my life as I would like. And I believe much of that distance exists because his wife does not accept me and has refused to change her position. I do not pretend that it's not hurt. It does. I do not agree with my father choosing to maintain that relationship in ways that has sometimes placed distance between him and me. I do not agree with every choice he has made, but I also understand something. My father is 74 years old. And while I may not agree with every decision, I understand not wanting to be alone. Understanding does not mean approving of everything. Compassion does not require us to deny our pain. Love does not require dishonesty. I can say, I do not agree with this. I wish things were different. I wish we were closer. I wish there were a way that another person is not standing in the way. And I can also say, I understand that he's human. I understand that loneliness is real. I understand that life becomes more complicated as people grow older. I understand that sometimes people make choices from fear, need, companionship, habit, or the desire not to face life alone. And that is one of the difficult parts of growing up. When we are children, we see our parents simply as parents. As we grow older, we begin to see them as human beings with fears, human beings with needs, human beings with weaknesses, human beings with contradictions, human beings who may love us deeply and still make choices that hurt us, human beings who may understand us in one area and misunderstand us in another, human beings who may be strong professionally and uncertain personally, human beings who may counsel other people wisely while still struggling with decisions in their own families. That does not make the love unreal. My father and I disagree about things. We disagree about politics for sure. We do not always see the world in the same way. He has never attended one of my church services, and yes, I wish he had. I would love for him to sit in a service and see what God has built here. I would love for him to see the people whose lives have been changed. I would love for him to understand fully what this ministry means to me and to those who call this church home. But he does not disrespect it. He does not ridicule it. He does not dismiss it. He does not deny that this ministry matters. And although our expressions may be different, our spiritual and religious beliefs are much more closely aligned than some people might assume. Whether he always acknowledges it or not, the spiritual foundation underneath us is very similar. We both believe in service. We both believe in helping people. We both believe that life should mean something beyond personal comfort. We both believe that people can grow. We both believe that people are more than the worst thing that's happened to them. We both believe healing is possible. We both believe that what is broken does not always have to remain broken. He expresses the belief through psychology and counseling and education and his work with veterans. I express it through ministry, preaching, pastoral care, media, and the church. But are those paths really so different? Both of us spend our lives telling people, you are more than your pain. You can survive this. Your past doesn't have to control your future. There's still something worth building. Perhaps the language is different. Perhaps the setting is different. Perhaps one office has counseling credentials on the wall, while another has a cross, a Bible, and a pulpit. But their work has something deeply important in common. We both try to help people heal. We both try to help people understand themselves. We both try to help people move from where they are towards where they could be. And I know my Father loves me. I do not have to pretend that everything is perfect to know that. I do not have to agree with every choice to know that. I don't have to ignore the distance to know that. I know he loves me, and I love him. Sometimes love is not the absence of conflict. Sometimes love is what remains in spite of conflict. Sometimes love survives disagreement. Sometimes love survives disappointment. Sometimes love survives political arguments, family tension, distance, and things that should have been handled differently. Sometimes love is complicated, but complicated love is still love. See, this is more exciting than what I was talking about anyway. I was born Mark Daniel Manning. That was a name I carried through childhood, school, work, ministry, and much of my adult life. But my father's original story was connected to the Zorn name. And in 2024, I legally became Mark Daniel Zorn. That decision was not about pretending the Manning years did not exist. It was not about erasing the life I had already lived. It was about reclaiming something. It was about restoring a family name. It was about honoring a piece of my father's identity that had been interrupted by the circumstances of his own life. It was about saying that something nearly lost could still be recovered. Every time the name Zorn appears on a sermon, a song, a church program, a piece of ministry, a press release, or anything else I create, that name continues. But I do not merely carry my father's name. I carry some of his determination. I carry some of his refusal to stop learning. I carry the belief that life is meant for service. I carry the conviction that a difficult beginning does not prevent a significant future. I carry the instinct to keep working when others might decide they've had enough. I carry the need to use what I know to help someone else. I did not inherit his exact profession, but perhaps I inherited part of his purpose. We talked Sunday about we talked about the story of Ishmael. Ishmael was born into a complicated story. His birth came through the relationship between Abraham and Hagar after Abraham and Sarah became impatient with God's promise. Ishmael did not create the circumstances of his birth. He did not choose the adults. He did not design the family structure. He did not cause the conflict. Yet he was forced to live inside decisions other people had made. Eventually, Sarah demanded that Abraham send Hagar and Ishmael away. Abraham gave them food and water, and they entered the wilderness. The water ran out. Hagar became convinced her son was going to die. She placed him under a bush and walked away because she couldn't bear to watch. But Scripture says God heard the boy crying. That line matters. God heard the child born from a complicated relationship. God heard the child who had been pushed to the edge of the family. God heard the child whose future looked uncertain. God heard the child who had been not been part of the original plan. And God said that Ishmael still had a future. Now, do not miss this message. A child's worth is not determined by the circumstances of conception. A child's worth is not determined by whether the parents were married. A child's worth is not determined by whether the pregnancy was planned. A child's worth is not determined by poverty, by family scandal, by whether the adults knew how to behave responsibly. God heard Ishmael. The world might have described him as a mistake, complication, an inconvenience, or a reminder of a bad decision. And God called him a child with a future. My father's parents may have come together for one night, but that one night produced a life that would eventually help countless other lives. That one night produced a son who would rise from poverty. That one night produced a man who would continue his education into his 70s. That one night produced a counselor, a psychologist, a professional who would serve veterans, a father. And ultimately, that one night became part of the story that produced me. Be careful of what you call accidental. Be careful what you call insignificant. Be careful what you call a mistake. You may not know what God intends to build from the beginning that looks disorderly. God can take one night and create generations of impact. God can take poverty and create perseverance. God can take uncertainty and create purpose. God can take a child who didn't begin with every advantage and develop a man who spends his life helping others overcome their disadvantages. When Hagar believed that there was no future, God opened her eyes and she saw a well. The well may have been nearby the entire time, but grief and fear and exhaustion had made it impossible to see. And sometimes the greatest provision is that it's not that God is creating something out of nothing. Sometimes it's God opening our eyes to what is already present. My father grew up in poverty, but somewhere along the way, his eyes opened to education, to ambition, to professional achievement, to the possibility that his beginning did not have to become his permanent condition. He saw a well, the well of education, the well of hard work, the well of determination, the well of continual learning, the well of service. And he kept drinking from it and still does. And at 74, he still is drinking from it, still studying, still working, still learning, still helping, still building. Some people stop because they believe their most productive years are behind them. My father continues because he believes there's still more ahead. That is a message many people need today. You are not too old to learn. You're not too old to change. You're not too old to serve. You're not too old to begin something new. You're not too old to repair a relationship. You're not too old to say what has never been said. You're not too old to attend the service. You're not too old to open your mind. You're not too old to admit that you were wrong. You're not too old to make the years that remain more meaningful than the years already gone. We talked about today, in the beginning part of our show, we talked about letting something go. This kind of falls into that here. So we talk about what must die and what must live. Here we go. Romans 6 tells us that through Christ we die to the old life and rise into the newness of life. Now that has special meaning on Father's Day because families pass things down. Some families pass down faith, courage, education, compassion, resilience. But families can also pass down poverty of spirit, silence, distance, prejudice, fear, rejection, pride, addiction, anger, the inability to apologize, the tendency to choose appearances over relationships. And every generation must decide, what will I continue and what will end with me? Now, I want to continue my father's love of learning. I want to continue his determination. I want to continue his commitment to helping people. I want to continue his belief that life can be transformed. I want to continue working beyond the point when other people think I should stop. I want to continue building. But there are things that every family must confront, patterns that need to die, silences that need to end, barriers that need to be broken, relationships that should not remain distant forever. Through Christ, we are not enslaved to what previous generations handed us. We can honor our parents without repeating every decision they made. We can love them without agreeing with everything. We can understand them without pretending their choices did not hurt. We can preserve what was life-giving and refuse to pass down what was destructive. That, my friends, is resurrection. Resurrection does not mean pretending death never happened. It did. Resurrection means death does not get the final word. Jesus speaks difficult words in Matthew 10. He tells us the following hymn may create tension even inside families. He says that our loyalty to God must come before every other loyalty. Now, that doesn't mean that Jesus wants families destroyed. It means family loyalty cannot become an excuse for rejecting truth, justice, compassion, or another human being. There are moments when a father must decide, will I choose social approval or my child? Will I choose a spouse's prejudice or my child? Will I choose political identity or my child? Will I choose the comfort of avoiding conflict or the courage of standing for what is right? Will I allow somebody else's refusal to accept my child to determine how close I remain to my child? Those are difficult questions, and they're not asked to condemn. They're asked because love sometimes requires courage. Taking up the cross means doing what is right, even when it costs us comfort. Sometimes the cross is admitting I should have stood up sooner. I should have refused to let another person create this distance. I should have attended. I should have listened. I should have asked more questions. I should have made sure my child knew that nobody else's prejudice could weaken my love. But the beautiful thing about Christ is that as long as there is life, there's the possibility of change. My father's alive. I'm alive. The story's not finished. There are still conversations that can happen. There are still services he can attend. There are still things he can understand about one another. There's still time for a relationship to come closer. There's still time for both of us to say more than we had said. There is still time. There's one reason we should not wait until funerals to speak honestly about people we love. I do not want to deliver a tribute to my father as if his life were already over. I want to honor him while he can still hear it. I want to say what I see that he overcame, that I see what he overcame. I see the poverty. I see the complicated beginning. I see the work. I see the education. I see the 6-day work weeks. I see the private practice. I see the service to veterans. It's a lot. I see the 74-year-old man who refuses to stop learning and helping. I see the success. I see the parts of him that live in me. And yes, I also see the distance. I see the disagreements. I see what I wish were different. But I refuse to let that pain erase the pride. And I refuse to let disagreements erase love. Now, fathers, what are you building in your children? It's something for you now. Are you building confidence or fear? Are you building trust or anxiety? Are you building a relationship strong enough to survive disagreement? Are you teaching your children that love is conditional upon compliance? Are you teaching them that they can speak honestly, or must they hide parts of themselves to remain accepted? Are you building courage, compassion, discipline, curiosity, faith, a love of learning, a desire to serve? My father's life teaches me that education is not something we finish. Growth is not something we outgrow. Service is not merely a profession, it's a way of life. And purpose does not retire simply because the calendar says we have reached a certain age. A father may never know every way his example is being absorbed. A child may not say, I learned determination from you. I learned to work from you. I learned to keep studying from you. I learned to help hurting people from you. But the lessons are still being received. Somebody listening today has a relationship like mine. Your father's alive. You love him. You know he loves you. But the relationship is complicated. There's distance. There's disagreements. There are disagreements. There may be a spouse, a relative, a belief system, or unresolved conflict standing between you. You do not have to pretend that doesn't hurt. It does. But you do not automatically assume this relationship is beyond hope. The story is still being written. There may still be time for the phone call. There may still be time for the visit, time for the apology, time for the service, time for the conversation that says, I love you, but this hurts me. I respect your need for companionship, but I need you to understand what this distance has cost. I don't expect us to agree about everything. I do expect our love to be stronger than our disagreement. I do not need perfection. I need presence. Folks, speak while there is still time. Love while there is still time. Tell the truth while there is still time. Do not wait for a hospital room. Do not wait for a funeral. Do not wait until one of you can no longer answer. Now, here's the part that's important. Because if I hadn't said this part, Dad probably would have really chewed my butt out. I have not been blameless either. I'm going to stand here and tell you the truth about my father. I'll tell you the truth about myself. I cannot speak about the ways he has disappointed me without acknowledging the ways I have frightened, disappointed, exhausted, and hurt him. I was not always an easy son to love. I struggled with addiction. And addiction does not only hurt the person using, addiction reaches outward. It enters families. It creates fear. It trust. It causes people to wonder whether the next phone call will bring another crisis. It makes promises and then breaks them. It creates financial emergencies. It places people who love us in situations they never chose and did not deserve. My father had to watch me make bad decisions, a whole lot of them. He had to endure choices that must have frightened him. He had to live through times when he did not know what I would do next, whether I would be safe, whether I would survive, or whether anything he said would make a difference. He had to deal with the consequences of my addiction, even though he was not the one who caused it. And I understand that those experiences do not simply disappear because I say I've changed. Trust does not always return as quickly as recovery begins. A family member may continue waiting for the next crisis long after the crisis has passed. They may continue guarding themselves because they remember what happened the last time they believed everything was going to be all right. They may hear our words of change, but still be watching to see whether our lives that support them. And I cannot blame my father for that. I made mistakes, real mistakes, painful mistakes that affected more than me. Now, I did learn from many of them. I grew, I changed, I became a different person. I built a ministry. I rebuilt my life. I built this church. I dedicated myself to helping people whose lives are broken, complicated, rejected, addicted, forgotten, or misunderstood. Say that past 10 times. But I also understand that my father may not yet see the full extent of that change. And perhaps part of the reason is that addiction leaves scars not only on the addict, but on everyone who loved the addict. Recovery is not simply the addict saying, I'm different now. Recovery also means allowing the people we hurt, whatever time they need to believe that difference is real. It means understanding that their caution is not always hatred. Sometimes it's fear. Sometimes it's memory. Sometimes it's self-protection. Sometimes it's the heart that's been disappointed too many times and does not know whether it can safely hope again. My father has also continued to help me financially. He has helped me directly and indirectly more times than I can count. More times than I can count. In fact, he's helped this church from the beginning. This condo, this place from which this church was born, the place in which we had worship, preached, prayed, counseled, broadcast, fed people, helped people, and built 10 years of ministry, is in my father's name. That means that whether he has ever attended one of our services or not, his support has been beneath this ministry from its beginning. This church has stood quite literally in a place he helped provide. There have been months when I could not make the rent. Too many months. There have been times when the money simply was not there. The church did not bring in enough. I did not have enough. The bills exceeded what we had available. And my father did not like it. He had every right not to like it. He had every right to be frustrated. He had every right to expect the rent to be paid. But he didn't throw me out. At least not yet. And I say that with a little humor, but also with deep gratitude. Because the truth is, without his patience, this ministry might not have had a home. Without his help, directly or indirectly, Some of what we have accomplished might never have happened. Every person who has entered this space and found acceptance has benefited from something my Father helped make possible. Every sermon preached from this home has been delivered under a roof connected to his generosity and patience. Every person fed, counseled, prayed with, welcomed, or encouraged here has been touched in some way by a ministry that my Father helped sustain. He may have never sat in one of these services, but his fingerprints are still on this church. His contribution is built into its foundation, and I want him to understand that, whether he likes it or not. I want him to understand that when he helped me, he was not merely helping me pay for a place to live. He was helping me create a place where other people could live again. He was helping provide a place where rejected people could hear that they are loved. He was helping provide a place where people struggling with addiction could hear that recovery was possible, change was possible. They didn't have to live that way. He was helping provide a place where people who had been thrown out by families, churches, and communities could hear that God had not thrown them away. He was helping provide a pulpit, a sanctuary, a counseling room, a broadcast studio. He was helping provide a home for a church that would not otherwise have had one. So, Dad, whether you realize it or not, you helped build this, all of it. And I know there may be moments when you look at my past and still see a different person. You may still see the bad decisions. You may still remember the financial emergencies. You may still wonder whether the changes will last. And I understand that. I even deal with that today with some of the people I counsel. But I hope that someday, perhaps even today, you can also see what grew out of the wreckage. I hope you can see that I did learn, I did change. I hope you can see that the pain was not meaningless. I hope you can see the people who have been helped because I learned how badly people needed mercy. I hope you can see a church that exists partially because you continued to help me even when you had every reason to be tired of helping. I hope you can see that your son took the life he nearly destroyed and dedicated what remained of it to helping other people survive. I'm not blameless in the distance between us. I cannot ask my Father to acknowledge his mistakes without acknowledging mine. I cannot ask for grace while refusing to recognize how much grace he has already extended. I cannot speak about wanting him to be proud of me without admitting that I have given him reasons to worry, doubt, and sometimes be disappointed. A lot of times be disappointed. But I also believe that Romans 6 is true. We are not required to remain enslaved to the persons we once were. Through Christ, the old life can die. Through Christ, a new life can rise. My past is part of my story. My past does not get to write the ending. The bad decisions are part of my story, but they do not get to define everything that followed. My mistakes explain some of the pain between us, but they do not eliminate the possibility of healing. And perhaps this is one more way that my Father and I are alike. He rose beyond the circumstances of his beginning, and I have tried to rise beyond the circumstances of my life and the mistakes that I made. He's built a life out of poverty. I built a ministry out of change. He learned to become people through psychology. He learned to help people through psychology and counseling. I learned to help people through faith, ministry, and the experience of knowing what it means to need another chance. Neither one of us is perfect. Neither one of us is finished. Both of us are still learning. Both of us are still working, and both of us are still helping people. And both of us still have time to understand one another. I have time to finish this. Yeah, I'm going to read this last part. This is the part that I actually read to Dad. Just to him directly. See what you think about it. And so today, I want to say this directly to Dad. I see you. I see where you came from. I see the circumstances of your birth. I see the poverty in which you were raised. I see the barriers that could have limited your life. And I see the man you became in spite of them. I see a man who became highly educated, a man who built a successful professional life. I see a man who continues to attend school part-time at 74 years old. I see a man who works in private practice. I see a man who works with veterans as a licensed professional counselor. I see a man who works 6 days a week and which he has chosen to call retirement. I see a man who continues helping people. He refuses to stop learning. I'm proud of what you've accomplished. I'm proud of the lives you helped. And Dad, I hope you can also be proud of the lives this church has helped. I hope you know that your financial help, your patience, and the home you have allowed us to use helped make this ministry possible. I cannot afford to buy you a Father's Day gift this year. I said that earlier. So guess what? This sermon is my gift. I gave it to you twice here. Hey, it is my attempt to tell you publicly what I have not always said clearly privately. I admire you. I love you. I'm grateful for you. I'm sorry for the pain that my past experiences and past mistakes have made and my choices have caused you. I hope that you can see that I have worked to become more than the worst years of my life. I hope you can understand how important this work is. I hope you can understand that every person this church helps is part of the good your support helped create. And more than anything, I still want you to be proud of me. Not because I have been perfect, not because I've always made the right decisions, but because I fell, I learned, I changed, I got back up, and I used what I survived to help other people get back up too. I do not know whether you are still watching this today. I do know. You do. And if you are watching that, I hope you hear this clearly. I love you more than I have probably ever managed to show you. I admire you more than you may realize. And I'm grateful that through everything, you have continued to be my father. I'm proud that you're beginning to not determine your future. I wish you were closer. I wish some things were different. I wish that you had been able to attend one of my services and see this part of my life firsthand. I do not agree with every choice you've made, and I know you do not agree with every choice or opinion of mine. But I know you love me, and I love you. Our politics may differ. Our lives may look different. Our methods may differ. But the spiritual current running underneath both of our lives is not so different. You help people heal through counseling. I help people heal through ministry. You sit with people and help them understand their pain. I stand before people and tell them their pain does not have to be the end of their story. You give your life to education and service. And whether either of us always acknowledges it, I'm carrying some of that same calling. I carry your determination. I carry your drive. I carry the belief in growth. I carry the name that it's your beginning, and I intend to carry it well. What do we do with this when we leave church now? All this stuff that I just talked about. We leave the show today. We leave church Sunday. What do we do with this later on? I should support, because I think that's the part that most ministers miss when they're giving a sermon. Okay, great. You told me a bunch of things. Now what do I do with it? Well, first, honor living people while you're still alive. Do not speak only at funerals. Tell them now. Second, tell the whole truth. Love does not require pretending everything is perfect. You can honor a father's achievements while acknowledging the pain. Third, recognize what you inherited, what strength came from your father, what determination, what creativity, what faith, what ability to survive. Name it. Fourth, decide what needs to change, what distance can be reduced, what prejudice can be confronted, what silence must end, what apology must be offered. Fifth, keep building. My father is 74 years old and still going to school. What excuse do the rest of us have for deciding we are finished? Keep learning, keep serving, keep growing, keep helping, keep becoming. Sixth, do not let your beginning define your ending. One night can reduce a life of purpose. Poverty can reduce determination. Rejection can produce compassion. Pain can produce a healer. A complicated family story can still produce something beautiful. So that was the gist of the sermon Sunday. And just tell you the end of the story here. Dad called. I didn't call him right after service. I mean, right after service, we were breaking down things and doing things here, and I'm talking to people and whatnot. And I was actually in the process of getting ready to call him, and he called me. And it was a good call. I was waiting for him to shoot me out. I really was, because I was waiting for him to say, you can't be saying that, you're using this, that, the other. The thing was, what I said, everything I said was absolutely true. I wasn't trying to air our dirty laundry. Wasn't intending to do that, and I don't think I did. I think that I was very true and respectful in what I said, and honest in what I said, and I think that he saw that, and I think it may have changed our relationship a little bit. So we'll see. More to come on that. To be continued. Okay. 6:24 p.m. 94 degrees still here in Dallas, Texas. It's June evening. Next week, folks, don't forget. Next week is the season 3 finale. The last two finales we've had for the season 1 finale, season 2 finale, were phenomenal. I know last year we had pay-per-view last year. We're not doing that this year, don't worry. We went pay-per-view last year for our season finale, and we sold out 2,500 tickets. We sold out 2,500 at it was $9.95 a piece. So they were $9.95 each for a 2-hour special. I was actually humbled by it. I really was. It was amazing. We're not doing that this year. We're not doing the pay-per-view, but I will tell you this: you can donate and help us out. If you like what we're doing here, if you like the message we're trying to give us, this is not cheap to run. This television show is expensive, and it takes a lot out of everything we have to put this on every week. Not only the software, but the software and the streaming and the equipment, and then we got the radio station on top of that. And it's a lot. If you see the potential here, and you see that what we're doing is something that you're interested in helping us spread this message of an all-inclusive, all-loving God who loves everybody, who created everybody and doesn't exclude. If you see that we're this message we're trying to get across of the real meaning of Christianity, the true meaning of Christianity, back to the basics of what it really is, and not this human crap that we all put on top of it, all these rules, just what it really is, then I hope you consider making a donation to us. And you can do that by going to Dallas, like yourdallas.church. Yourdallas.church. There's a donate tab there. When you get that donate tab, there's 3 different sections. One is for the general funds here, which will just help us our day-to-day operations around the church, the electric bill, all that kind of fun stuff. One part of it is for the new center we're proposing, which is the Gavin Myers. Oh Lord, you're right. Gavin Myers Community Resource Center and Community Resource and Spiritual Guidance Center. Spiritual Wellness Center. That's it. It's a big name. Anyway, the Gavin Myers Center, which is what we're working on for counseling and food pantries and the clothes pantry and our new chapel. Working on that as well. If you want to donate to that, that's also there. Also, there's a place to donate for the zoo. It's the zoo radio station. It's THEZUE.net. Those are all 3 there. You can choose which one you want to donate to, and it will go toward that cause. They all could use your help, all of them. So, choose wisely, because it's your decision. What you donate to may make it happen, and if you don't donate to one, it may not happen. And we're that close on these things. I mean, it's tight. So, look. I've got a big week coming up, so we've got a lot to talk about next Wednesday. It's going to be a big show. I'm probably going to have some surprises in it too for you, so make sure you're here for that. It'll start at 5:30. On anything you're watching right now, that's what I'm looking up on the TV. I see our Roku station up here, which is kind of cool. We only had Roku for a few months now, and it's kind of cool to see it up there on the big screen up there like that. I've got screens all around me here, right, folks? If you saw this, you'd be probably cracking up. I've got 1, 2, 3 screens, and another screen there, and then another screen up there, and almost all of them have my face on it right now. You would think I was a little narcissistic, but it's not that. I swear it's not. It's just I have to do all these things to watch everything. Don't make fun of me. Don't judge me. Okay, I'm just trying to get this last 2 minutes, so I don't like to waste time. I don't like to throw away time. So we got 2 more minutes to talk about. I'm going to talk for 2 more minutes about something. You didn't call in today, Don. Where the hell are you? Don keeps promising to call in every week. Every week promises to call in, and he hasn't called in. He's calling every week, every show. And that was a big people like Don. He was a fan favorite. Don, you're ruining my show. Nobody wants to watch it anymore because you're not here. What's wrong with you? Don's got his life too. He's got things going on. I understand that. I do. I get it. But why didn't y'all call in? I see your numbers up there. I can see people watching. How come you're not calling in? I'm not that tough to talk to, folks. I know you may think that I am. I'm just a mean ogre over here, but I'm not. I'm pretty much. I'm not going to be a pushover. You should stay on my good side. All right, let me get up to this final prayer because I'm not sure we can get that in there. Check up here real quick. It's on that one. It's the other one. I'm going to run over now. Here we go. Yeah, now I got 30 seconds. I gotta get this prayer in. I do add a little bit of extra time on here just in case this happens. So let's see. There it is, right there. There you go. Okay, so let me get this real quick. You know what? Here's my final prayer. So I guess I got to make it up today. So let's just bow our heads and pray right now. Father, thank you for this opportunity we had to come together tonight and talk about life. Talk about the hard things. Talk about things that we need to let go of so that we can move on. We can't have a closed fist holding on to everything that we've had in our past and all the hurt and the pain and expect to be able to grab something new. We have to let go of something so that we can grab something new. Can't do it this way. No room. Father, help us to understand that. Help us to understand the things that we need to let go so that we can move on, so that we can let go of things in our past that we don't need anymore, that you've told us to let go of, that you let go of a long time ago. Help us to move on and move forward and become who you want us to be. Help us to follow that path that you've created for us. Help us to not stray by holding on to things that we don't need to hold on to anymore. Father, help us to be who you want us to be. And Father, thank you for watching over us and being patient with us, understanding that we aren't perfect, and smiling and laughing at us and with us when it needs to be done. Because sometimes we got to do that. Father, we ask all this in Christ our Lord. Amen. Folks, I enjoyed it today. Hey, perfect timing. Next Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Be here for the 2-hour special. Don't forget, we also have Friday with Storm Your Faith. The first weekend on Friday on the Zoo. And then Sunday, we've got church service. Big weekend's coming up. Big week coming up. Be here. I'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye. There you go. Bye-bye. Here we go. Maybe. Oops.
Thank you for joining us for Your Path Live with Bishop Mark. Have a great week. We'll see you next time. God bless you.